Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is How to Grow DTC Beauty Brands with Proven, Curology, Glossier, and Prose. So this is a couple housekeeping rules before we get started. This is being recorded. I'm going to send an email your way once the recording is ready. There is a chat. Let's drop all the follow-up questions that you wish to ask there, and we'll be checking it along during the event.
Great.
Anish.
Yeah, great. So, hi, my name is Anish. I'm based in Brooklyn. So my background was actually kind of running marketing and growth for different companies for about 11 years. Mostly small startups, but some kind of later stage companies I consulted for as well. And then actually began recruiting for those companies as well. Kind of with the whole idea that people have practitioner knowledge within marketing, growth, build your own teams, launch your own campaigns. We'd be a better fit to recruit than maybe someone who's never done the jobs themselves before. So I took all that experience and started an executive recruiting firm, focused on hiring everyone's kind of head of growth, head of marketing, head of product. We skew pretty heavily in D2C, so this is a pretty fun event for me. And now we're a team of 10.
Ming.
Me? Sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Ming. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Proven Skincare. We create personalized skincare products based on the largest database in the world, which we call the Skin Genome Project, largest database in beauty. And my background is that I started my career as a management consultant and then became a private equity investor before joining tech and gaining a passion for using technology to improve our everyday lives. And the reason that I founded Proven was because at one point I was working as a private equity investor, working 14-hour days. One day I woke up, saw myself in the mirror and realized I was looking so sunken and withered and aged. It was like a presidency, it was kind of like Obama before and Obama after. And I was just completely panicked. And I started buying all kinds of expensive skincare products, but nothing really worked. And I felt so betrayed by this industry that I loved that I then found the smartest friend I had, my co-founder, Amy, who is a computational physicist from Stanford. And, for me, the epiphany was using personalization to improve skincare. For her, she actually had her own skin condition that she solved by building an AI-powered database for herself. So we just combine those two into what Proven is today. And we're definitely by far the youngest brand here. So I appreciate being here to learn from all of you folks here.
Hi, I'm Fabian, CMO at Curology. We're a skincare startup as well. We take the opposite approach to Ming. We have an in-house team of dermatology providers who review your skin quiz answers, your medical history, and your photos to diagnose you, and then come up with a personalized treatment plan that we send to you. And for that, we mix you a personalized treatment cream that we make in our in-house lab in San Diego. I've been at Curology now for 4 years. Prior to that, spent time at Lumosity, the brain training app, and as a consultant.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I built my career in growth marketing. I'm currently the head of marketing at Thai Bar, so I'm doing menswear now as of the past 5 months. But prior to that, I was at Glossier for just shy of 3 years. Glossier is a community-powered ecosystem building products that are community-driven in both makeup and skincare, and also some body and fragrance as well. Prior to joining Glossier, I was there just a bit shy of 3 years. And I was at Clarins in an in-house role doing e-commerce acquisition. Prior to that, I was at an agency working with beauty brands like Coty. So happy to be here today.
Got a strong beauty panel.
And hi everyone, my name is Guillaume. I'm the head of growth at Prose. Prose is a custom haircare company based on a consultation that you are taking online. We are creating your very own products using only clean and good ingredients. And every order is made by our facility in Brooklyn, New York. I've been working at Prose for the last 2 years as head of growth. It encompasses both the customer acquisition and their retention. And in the past, I've been working for several D2C companies in different areas. The last one was a lingerie company called Adore Me in New York. And before that, I was working for a company, an OTA, sorry, online travel agency in Paris, France. But I'm happy to be here as well.
Great. So just for all the folks who are tuning in, when you RSVP'd, all of you put in a question that you would like answered, and we curated kind of the best questions here. But if you have other specific questions, feel free to throw them in a chat. We've got a pretty great full house here. It looks like 65 people participating, which is great. Hopefully all of you guys make it to the end. So just starting off, this might be a really interesting one for you, Ming. While you do have, I guess, the earliest company, you also started your own. So what advice would you give to someone who is starting their own beauty care line?
Yeah, I was just reading an article today from NFX where they're saying that now is actually a great time to found companies, maybe counterintuitively, because, so much of, incumbents in the space, their efforts and their mental energy and their resources are tied up to, putting out fires or to, manning their main businesses and their bread and butter businesses, that they're not really thinking about innovation as much. They're not open to experimenting. Also, it's really hard for them to, hire talent that could help them with these kind of innovations. So I think it's always a great time to found a company when is the right time for you. In terms of your own journey, do you feel like this is a time where your passion as well as the team makeup, let's say, of your co-founders and the maturity of your idea is all there? For us, it didn't begin where we had the fully baked out idea altogether. We had some inkling of idea. We had an inspiration, and my co-founder and I found each other and realized that we had this joint passion. And from there, we just started talking to a lot of different folks, be it, folks that have started startups before, or folks who are very much experts in the industry that you're in, even if they're not startup people. And I would say after probably 8 months to a year of these conversations, did the idea really bake itself into a real idea? And that's when, things really started. Also, I think in the beginning, there's a lot of times where you're just like waiting, waiting to hear back from a potential, manufacturing partner, or what potential advisor or potential, branding partner, and you're just waiting. So I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think in the beginning of founding a company, you necessarily have to be, all in. If I don't quit my job and sell everything I have, then I'm not a full entrepreneur. That's actually not true. However you can make so that your life and your business could all, go together in the most harmonious way, I think that's ideal. So if you have some downtime and, wake up a little bit earlier, think about your business, do more over the weekends, I think that's actually a much more reasonable way to start a company and to make it sustainable, because, the first couple of years, you're just, discovering, and you never know when, you might raise your first, serious money or friends and family to actually get it started. So I think easing into it and being open to having your idea be challenged and be matured through that process of conversation would be the ideal way to do it.
It's really great. And I think touching upon one portion of what you said that I see a lot of people kind of sort of belaboring is you don't have to have all the answers, right? It's important because when a lot of people sort of try to plan every little step of the way before it happens and have their 3-year roadmap before they've even, sold their first product or even conceived what the product is going to be. And once you launch a product or even attempt to launch it, you have no idea what's going to happen next, and you can't plan for it. So all that planning you just created for your 3-year roadmap goes completely out the window. So I think you really nailed it. That you just kind of got to get started. You don't have to have it all figured out, but it'll all unfold, and you'll make, 18 mistakes until you make that one really, really smart move. But you got to make those 18 mistakes first.
I think, Anish, that's exactly the right comment. I mean, I joined Curology after the Series B, and we still changed pricing twice in really major ways after the Series B. And so I think to not get attached to any decisions you make early on, but to constantly reinvent yourself and iterate based on the data that you're seeing or just the customer feedback that you're getting.
Yeah, that's a really great point too. I think being mission and vision driven is great, but if your mission is getting in the way of your business actually being successful, and if your mission and vision was exactly the same from day 0 to year 3, that's actually, I've seen that specifically get in the way of a lot of founders being successful, because they can't kind of iterate instead of just focusing on what they started with.
I'm going to go really tactical with this advice. It's about data. From the beginning, just establish what kind of data you want to have in your pocket in 3-5 years down the line, because it's really difficult to go back and gather customer data from year 1. So the more deliberate and specific you can be about your data gathering and from your customer base and from prospective customers, the more you'll have at your fingertips down the line. I think beauty customers are very segmented, more so than probably any other customer base out there. So getting really specific with the type of customer data you're storing is really important.
And when you say beauty data is really, really segmented, what do you mean by that?
I mean, there are so many different visions of what beauty means to different people. So think about bucketing all of them, and we're expecting to have a one-to-one conversation with brands that we're buying from. And so gather the information that you would want to have a one-to-one conversation with your customer. What's their skin type? What's their weekend look? What's their weekday look? What do they do when they have a little extra time? Like really getting specific with the type of data. It's not just women 18 to 35 and, age brackets and genders.
Yeah, that's something that's shifted over time, right? Because when you look at like the 90s commercials, and it is much more demo based, not necessarily what is your exact specific need. Do all of your product flows, sorry, I haven't bought enough beauty products in my lifetime, so I don't actually know, but do all of your product flows start with some sort of a quiz, getting deep into understanding what someone wants, or more just like, hey, maybe you just need the shampoo or body wash or whatever else?
Glossier's does not. We built a quiz you can take last year, but prior to that, we were doing quizzes more of as a fun community ad, but not as a very specific way of gathering customer data. It's really, we let the customer be her own expert and choose her own journey. So we didn't really gather data at that point, but have learned along the way that quizzes are a really powerful tool.
Cool. We jump on the next one, Grace? Oh, this is actually a really good question. How do you tackle the balance between direct response and building awareness for your brand? I know all of you guys who are a little bit more scaled probably have pretty sizable brand awareness budgets, probably more so than other kind of direct response consumer products, or do you not? And you've sort of pulled all of that out and put it all into direct response, or should you have pulled out all your brand budget and put it into direct response if you were to do it all over again? Would love to learn from all of you.
I can take it. So we don't have a specific budget for brand awareness, as we try to consider we are still at a very early stage of the company, and we try to consider that what we do everywhere in the company is kind of building the brand awareness. So every action that we take into the D2C part and into direct response is also having a good impact over the brand awareness. But it's true that we are also trying to build a brand. So we are not pursuing direct response for the sake of having good CPAs. We are always trying to balance the brand and the direct response to get a good balance and to position the brand as well as we can.
Cool. How do you balance that if you're looking at the data?
Yeah, it's more putting some constraints and some limits to where you want to go in terms of DR creatives and what you do on Facebook and other channels. So it's more in discussions that we can have in between the branding team, the growth team, and making sure that there is a good balance and a good brand creative.
Okay, makes sense. And I know we have multiple viewers on this, but feel free to be honest if you feel like any of you guys have put way too much money into the brand side.
I think we honestly probably underinvested early in the brand side. Now we have a dedicated budget. I think the misconception that I feel is often out there is that the money you put into DR, it doesn't matter how you portray the brand or how it reflects on your brand. And I think that's where we've tried to make sure that DR means that we measure it based on conversions, but it still needs to accurately reflect who we are as a brand and speak to that brand and further that brand perception. When we think of our brand budget, it's very much, you know, as Guillaume said, it's for brand awareness. So it's specifically the upper funnel piece to create that broad awareness and to move that metric versus, oh, we have, you know, flashy neon ads that drive sales and then things in the right brand colors with the right brand message that comes out of the brand budget.
I see. So it's almost split up a little bit, where some of your stuff might be more higher branded and others are a little bit more conversion focused.
Well, I think the branding is actually the same. I think that's the important piece, is that
I see.
We communicate the brand the same way through all ads. It's just one might be more focused on driving towards the sale versus the other one more about introducing the brand.
Okay, fair. That makes sense. Any other comments here, thoughts?
As a very young brand, you know, we launched within a year ago. This is something that I struggle with. You know, I see the story of Oatly, which, you know, its entire rejuvenation as a brand is all from brand building efforts, right? Maybe they, you know, maybe they didn't spend millions of dollars buying billboards, but the ethos of the brand is very much that, you know, we are going to go out with this very cohesive, integrated story about ourselves, and story leads everything, whether it's their, you know, like catchy phrases and the adorable, you know, photos and such and such. So that is, you know, that's a philosophy I really look up to, even though we don't yet have that kind of, you know, a strong creative director who can lead those efforts. It is definitely something that I want to emulate. On the other hand, you know, I've spoken with direct-to-consumer brands that are, you know, $100 million brands that never really spent much on brand building, and all they care about is, you know, using direct response as a way to almost get both brand building as well as sales. And in terms of, you know, where Proven is, I'm not sure yet where we lie and how we spend our very limited resources to arrive at that. I think you have to be probably pretty invested in one or the other to really get those benefits. I mean, you know, we can't just split our budget and say, you know, we'll split the difference. So I'm still trying to decide on that. In the meantime, you know, we have to build a business. So DR is absolutely necessary, whereas brand building, you know, may yield better long-term results, but at present, I don't know how to do it well.
Makes a lot of sense. Thanks for running me through that.
I think in Glossier's early days, the brand was really focused on brand, spending on brand marketing. It was kind of the earlier days of the pop-up and the experiential marketing. So there was a lot of that going on. And then sometime around maybe the midpoint that I was there, or just before, there was kind of a switch to understanding, you know, Facebook can be a driver of both brand and acquisition. And so putting the right creative resources, to Fabian's point, is really, really important. Like that Facebook advertising is the same thing as building your brand, because you don't just change gears as a brand from a mobile to a TV to a print ad. It's the same brand, and it needs to feel 360. Yeah, so it's really important to have those resources, I think.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's a tough balance. I've noticed a lot of the ways that companies go is just sort of founder dogma. If the founders are very brand focused, like no matter what the data says, they're just like brand, brand, brand. Or if they're very just quantitative and they're not really in love with brand themselves, they're like, why would I spend a penny on this? I need to make two pennies back for every penny I spend. This makes no sense.
Well, you can
it's
hire
fascinating.
somebody who's very brand driven, right? But that,
Mhm.
that is not an easy person to hire who knows how to do that well for a small company. You can hire brand
Mhm.
people for Coca-Cola, but for a startup, it's, yeah.
It's tough because is it tough because they need to align with your vision on what the brand should be and sort of like be able to communicate that properly out into the world?
Right, that is definitely a big portion. Another portion is that I think, unfortunately, the prevailing ethos on brand marketing is to just spend a lot of money without any kind of tracking. Where I don't think that's necessarily the case. That that's the way it has to be done. Like looking at Oatly, I don't think they spent that much money, but the ethos is very much still brand driven. So finding a person who, I think that creative director is also a visionary who understands how to be brand driven without the big price tag as a must have. That's a very rare combination.
Makes sense. Do you feel like the brand versus direct response mix is a little bit different if you're selling through retail versus D2C?
I actually don't know. I don't know enough about retail. I know it's very challenging, but I don't know the specifics enough.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. I mean, it feels like the companies that sell through retail most heavily invest, obviously, if they're only selling through retail, like a small milk might mostly sell through retail. It's pretty hard to do DR at that point unless they're kind of selling, I don't know, you get like a package of oat milk coming to your door every week. But it's pretty interesting.
Sure.
Cool. We'll jump to the next one.
One thing I would add just quickly about that topic,
Please.
about performance to brand, is using performance channels to inform brand messages is the key. You can really be efficient with what you're learning creatively. You start with direct response messages and creative, and then build that into a brand strategy. That won't always work because you'll have new things to talk about as a brand at a high level. But you make those performance channels work really hard for you to inform insights at the top.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it eliminates a lot of dogma as well, where everyone is just focusing on their intuition-driven branding instead of saying, let's try these 18 different messages and see what our customers actually like. I love that. That's a great idea. What emerging channels are you kind of looking into for the rest of this year and next year? Are you guys doing a bunch of TikToks? Are one of you guys going to start dancing in front of a video? Is there anything like that people aren't seeing that's kind of exciting or interesting for you that you wouldn't mind letting people in on?
We are actually doing a bunch of TikToks because that fits our audience, because the folks who have acne are in that age group, so they're spending a lot of time on TikTok. Still a super early platform. I think a lot to be worked out, but definitely interesting.
Super interesting. We did a TikTok 101 actually a couple months back, and Evan, who runs an agency focused on TikTok, has gotten like billions of views for different, mostly beauty focused brands. So, I mean, for your industry, it's clearly highly relevant. Any other stuff that you guys are kind of looking into that is a little bit forward thinking or innovative?
Hulu just launched a self-serve ad platform, and Hulu was a pretty key partner for Glossier, especially in 2019. We had built a strong partnership with them, and we're able to do a lot of great targeting. And I think it's so exciting that they're rolling out a pretty low-cost way to have the opportunity for smaller brands. Something I'm thinking about in my current role at Tybar is exploring that for next year. I also think affiliate is another one where it's such an old medium. It's like one of the first types of performance marketing, but now it's really coming full circle, and marketers really love a model where you only pay if you make a sale. And as print dies and there becomes like a cost barrier to online publishing and articles and whatnot, I think the intersection of like affiliate and PR it's really blurred. And so there's still a lot to explore there. I think Condé Nast is doing a pretty good job with how they've set up their affiliate and editor relationships. So is BuzzFeed. So I think the bigger sites are figuring it out. It's a totally new territory for a lot of people.
Nice. And are you talking about kind of like advertorials?
Yes, but also like just featuring a product in an article and getting commission for it. Like those little things add up. If you get a BuzzFeed placement in the right place at the right time at the top of the article, that can go viral and you have a day of crazy sales. So it's pretty amazing what the power of just a simple link will do.
That's awesome.
Same for us at Prose. We are looking into TikToks. So we tried doing TikTok with influencers first, and right now we are trying to do some ads. So it's very early to like see any good performance, and it's nothing comparable to what we do on Facebook and other channels, but it's interesting for us to test. And Hulu is very interesting, as you were saying, Melissa, as well, with their new platform. And we are also looking into like podcasts. I know it's not a new channel, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think there was a shift on like the consumption of podcasts that is quite interesting for us. And so we are trying to double down on the podcast environment.
Nice. From the outside looking in, it would feel like Pinterest could potentially be a channel for you guys, just given, you know, it's highly concentrated. I think it's 70% female demographic. Does that work well for your guys' industry, or is just the targeting a little bit behind the curve, or the data they have on users behind the curve, so it doesn't really do much? Pretty curious there.
They've really been speeding up the offerings from a customer segmentation and even ad format perspective. So they've come really far in what they can do for advertisers. I think the measurement piece is still kind of tough. They drive a lot of traffic that doesn't convert right away. So it doesn't exactly work in a branding versus direct response model. There has to be kind of like a middle ground of how are you going to measure the effectiveness of this platform, whether that's through like a multi-touch attribution model or something else. There has to be a measurement component that can like hold its own throughout time.
That makes sense. Okay, so I guess you guys aren't relying on Pinterest too much right now. No. Okay.
I can speak about it, I guess, from the menswear side of things, because I think like in the past 5 months since I've been out of beauty, the world has totally changed. And I think that Pinterest people are spending a lot of time on Pinterest right now. I've seen it, so many articles and tons of stats. It's really a place where people go to dream about like the vacation that they're not on or the wedding that they can't plan right now. So I think it has a lot of power, a lot of like people power behind it. It's just, again, that like measurement piece of converting those sessions into ultimate purchases and justifying the investment is a little bit tricky, but I think it has a lot of potential power.
Cool. Makes sense. So I'm pretty curious, how has either growth strategy or the beauty industry as a whole kind of worked through COVID? I guess people are going out less, so I don't know if that makes their interest in buying beauty products less, or does it make it more because they're at home trying on different things for fun? Super curious to hear what you guys have learned has kind of happened during COVID.
What we've seen is that when shelter in place happened, interest in skincare basically went through the roof. I think everybody reevaluated what their skincare routine was and if they wanted to change anything. It's almost when you think of the classic CPG marketing mindset, where it's like you have a couple times in a person's lifetime where you're disrupting their routine and the brands they buy, in terms of moving out of the home, going to college, getting married, and you know, getting a kid. COVID was another one of those where essentially everything that was a personal care beauty brand got put on the evaluation table, and everything kind of got mixed up. So everybody I've talked to, and same for us, a lot of demand. The interesting thing was we saw really dramatic changes in terms of the times of day that people were coming to our site and overall responding to ads, as well as the days of the week, simply because everything just blended together.
Can you repeat that?
So the times of the day, normally you see a relatively standard pattern of you have people in the morning, lunchtime, evening hours.
Okay.
And then you have a certain pattern during the week of when they tend to be stronger. And all those patterns during COVID shelter in place were 100% different.
So they're like buying beauty products at 3 a.m. And just kind of all over the board.
All over the board, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., anytime that you'd normally be working, all of a sudden was a shopping time.
That's fascinating. Any other insights on how COVID affected buying patterns for users?
I think that it has a strong impact on us as well, in the sense that people cannot go to the hairdresser anymore. So they shifted to try to find products to kind of reproduce this wellness at home. And in that sense, they were more into buying maybe slightly higher priced products than they would before the COVID happened. Because of this incapacity to go to the hairdresser, to the nail salon, to the spa, and etc. And there was an interesting podcast by Michelle Obama on Spotify where she was explaining that she had to do her nails and everything now, that she cannot go outside. That was interesting and related to that.
That's fascinating.
I think there's, oh, go ahead, Anish.
No, that was all I had to say. It's fascinating. Go on.
I'm just saying, it's definitely a boon, I think, to all direct-to-consumer or direct-to-consumer possible brands. For us, we don't know, how much is attributed to that, because right around May, we were featured on the Today Show and on Shark Tank. So that really was a huge, scale driver for the business, and it sort of coincided with this time frame. So, I think for us, it's probably mostly that rather than COVID itself. But I definitely think that the change in behavior that COVID has caused in consumers, in that they're willing to trust, some random brand they saw on the internet with, taking care of your skin, is going to stay. People who have tried it now will no longer be afraid of it. And people who, were not willing to do that before, they're doing their, doctor's visits via direct, via a screen. So buying things online is much less scary. So I think this is definitely a great thing for all of us for a long time to come.
That's fascinating. I would not expect that. I would have thought that since people are going out a little bit less, they're taking care of themselves a little bit less, but no. People intrinsically just want to take care of themselves without being out in the world. So that's great.
Consumers also have more time to look for good product and healthier product than before. So before they were going to the supermarket and buying off the shelf, like the different things for the week. But now that they have to buy online, they have more time to look into the product and the ingredients, and they will look for more healthier products with clean ingredients, like we are doing, and that's also very positive, I think, in this change of consumer behavior.
That's great. And even if the products are a little bit more expensive, they're sort of like, let's take care of ourselves here, because now we have the time to research. Now we know better because we're looking into what's inside the products.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. I mean, you see women, they're not buying high heels anymore. They're not buying fashion anymore. They might have stopped subscribing to their, clothing things because they're no longer needing like a change of clothes every day for their work. So there's actually people report, higher disposable income to spend on all these other things that they've always wanted to buy, but hadn't gotten around to.
That's fascinating.
To Guillaume's point about having more time, one funny other side effect we saw is that the messages sent to our customer support team were dramatically longer.
In a good way, or are they just using like good punctuation these days, or?
I mean, we didn't look into that, but just, we looked at character count, and basically character count went up 50%.
That's fascinating. That's also really interesting because a lot of what you guys are saying, because I always correlated fashion and beauty to be almost kind of in the same buckets and ebbing and flowing in the same way. But I know like high fashion, it's done very poorly during COVID. People aren't, like Ming was mentioning, buying the expensive, whatever, shoes, clothing, all of that. But I guess this is an example where it completely isn't correlated, and people are taking care of their personal self for their own good, even if they're not going out and buying those like $700 shoes. So that's great. Let's jump to the next one, Grace. what's your company's approach to new product development? Research driven, intuition driven. How do you figure out what to put out on the market?
For us, we are frequently surveying our customers and talking with them. So, they will actually tell us what they want very vehemently. So we, try to listen to that, to heed that. And of course, try to make sure that it fits with the overall brand ethos.
Yeah, for us at Curology, we've got an interesting blend because, of course, we have the expertise of our dermatologists who very much bring that in, and that part is very research driven. But we combine that with a lot of ongoing feedback that we receive through that direct connection all of our dermatology providers have with our members. And so we get that live feedback. We, of course, do consumer insights and also just analyze what those folks tell us on social and through other channels. So it's a bit of a hybrid approach between kind of what a dermatologist would say is the purely perfect answer, but then also, of course, how to marry that with what customers want.
Yeah, Glossier was founded out of a blog called Into the Gloss, founded by our founder. And so it was, and the company itself was born out of the comment section in her blog. She would interview people on set and interview her friends and talk about beauty routines in a really casual way. And it caused a casual conversation in the comment section of the blog. And that really spurred the company's creation in general. And then also as a company that really involved community in the product making process. So, that's what is in the DNA of the company. And I think, over time, it became a balance of what makeup products should we make, what skincare products should we make, and kind of balancing the portfolio. But at the root of it all, it's driven by the community through whether it's customer service, comments on Instagram posts. Anytime Glossier would launch a new balm.com flavor, like a lip balm flavor, the comment section would just explode with new flavor ideas, and they would get upvoted over and over. So almost turning into like a Reddit thread where, people were asking for the craziest flavors. So it just really was exciting to hear from the customer directly, like in both that open forum and then in one-to-one interactions, what they wanted to see from us.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Thanks for running through that. Jump to the next one, Grace. What's been your most effective strategy for retaining your users? What have you noticed will keep them? I mean, multiple of you guys have subscription products, right? So like what's kind of keeping them from, jumping to the next competitor, and any tips or tricks to kind of keep them from churning?
I think that at Prose, everything starts with a good product. So we have been constantly working on the products that we are offering the consumers. And this is really one of the main assets of Prose, is to be able to improve the product of one customer, shampoo after shampoo. So you can come back after your first shampoo, give your feedback, and we will adapt the formula of your next order to your feedback. And by doing that, we ensure that everyone is getting satisfied with the product. And for the 2 years I've been working at the company, we have seen the retention side of the business increase in parallel of the product satisfaction. And this is really, really connected. So we are really trying to improve the quality of the product that we are making to ensure that people are coming back. And then since it's a custom product, I mean, there is no like replacement that you can find on the market as well. So it's as well as if we give you the best product that you can get on the market, you will not be entitled to like go and try something else. And finally, what we have built over the last few months is a membership program towards which people get ahead of the new product. They get some perks, free products every 10 products they buy, and a 15% discount to every other order. And it has been very successful for us. So It was very successful in terms of like customer acquisition. We managed to recruit more than 70K subscribers in the first 2 months of the program. And also in terms of retention, thanks to the membership, people are staying with us to get the perks and to get all the advantage of the membership. So this is really successful for us at the moment.
That's amazing. Any other thoughts on retention?
I think customer service is a huge, I mean, it's a requirement as a D2C brand that you have a strong customer service team who can converse with customers like their friends or experts or whatever the customer needs them to be. I think when the customer feels like they're really heard, they want to keep coming back. When they feel, again, tied to products, when they feel like their input on product is heard and the brand is delivering, that serves as a retention tool. So those aren't as like tangible as like, you know, email or a specific channel, but being there and like keeping the dialogue going with the customer is truly like the #1 strategy to retain, I think, that I've seen. And whether that's on like the product they want to see that's possibly new, like what aren't we giving them that they want from us, and let's make it and make it quickly. Or if it's something wrong with the current product, how can we reformulate and like let those customers know that we reformulated it just for them? There were so many times I can remember at Glossier that we made a whole story out of something that a product wasn't up to the customer's par. We got the same feedback over and over, and then we would relaunch it and send it to those customers first. Like, look, we hear you, we made it better. This is the new product. We want you to try it first. So just treating the customers like the VIPs that they are goes very, very far.
I love that you brought that up. I think a lot of companies who are at scale feel like human contact is just a cost center and doesn't scale, and it's hard to see the ROI in it. But I mean, when you get to talk to an actual human, when you're calling into a line, or when you didn't even ask and they're sort of reaching out to you directly saying like, hey, how can we make this better? It's so huge. And I'm imagining word of mouth would probably get into that equation as well when someone gets like a handwritten note or a direct phone call or anything like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Fabian or any other kind of interesting things for retention that you guys have tested out and learned from, or of course things that absolutely did not work as well?
I mean, for us as a subscription brand, it's very similar to the Prose experience, where again, because we're personalized, we have that ongoing change. We have the prescription ingredients, so the product is really the main driver for us around retention. So it's seeing the efficacy, where luckily we have a big advantage over the competition. So that gives us very high retention rates naturally.
Cool. Makes sense. Have any of you guys tested out any sort of like concierge type of service where someone gets to talk to someone with not just customer support when they need something, but like having a regular check-in with a human being about their results, their skin, what they like, what they don't like? Has anyone seen anything like that kind of out there? All right.
So we already have that because you have your personal dermatology provider, okay, and that person is assigned to you throughout your journey with us as a member. And okay, you can message them anytime.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Thanks for that. Let's jump to the next one, Grace. Have you guys tested out product bundling and any insights on how it works or doesn't work?
At Proven, our products are sold in a 3-step, 3-product set that is everything that your skin needs. And that was by design because when we formulated our products, we worked with the head of dermatology at Stanford University, who believed that once you knew exactly what people need and when you know what they don't need, you can then just put the things that they do need into a very simple set of steps, so that people don't need like 19-step, morning routine, 18-step night skincare routine. So that's how we went to market. And, when people do buy the entire set, they see much better results. So most of our products are actually sold in that set, and we don't plan on changing it anytime soon.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Glossier is a different animal than kind of like a prescribed routine versus some of the other brands here. But I think the bundling has been very instrumental. I think when there are, Glossier said from the beginning, like they would be happy to be one product on a shelf, not being blind to the fact that women shop at, or men shop at multiple beauty brands throughout the course of their lives and have loyalty, you know, they're loyal to their mascara, they're loyal to this brand, that brand for specific beauty items. And so when we were able to unlock some bundling capabilities, we were able to offer like a discounted price for customers to try something new and maybe opt into our mascara or have it become like the new mascara or have it replace their current mascara, just kind of lowering the price barrier to them making their own choices and having to go through the site on their own and build a look themselves. And then within bundling, I mean, you can see it on the site, we tied in community really well into this process. So assigning a bundle for a person and saying, this is so-and-so's nightly routine, and these are the products that she uses, and add them all to your cart. And by the way, you're gonna save $7. So just making it really seamless and having someone on the site who represents the bundle of products, we found pretty positive feedback from that. So much so that on, I think, Black Friday weekend of last year, we just unleashed like 25 plus new bundles on the site just to see what would stick, just to see what customers would respond to and get a little bit experimental. And it was a huge reason that Black Friday weekend last year was a raging success. I think customers want it to be easy. You know, they want it to be simple, and yeah, they're doing their research now, but they want to know that a brand knows what they're talking about.
Makes sense.
For us at Prose, we are trying to, it's not bundling, but it's more about the routine. So basically the very interest of the consultation is not only to like decide on what ingredients you will need in your product, but also to help you choose the product that you will need for your hair. So depending on your hair, you will need either the pre-shampoo mask, the shampoo and the conditioner, or the shampoo, the conditioner, and the hair oil. And it will depend on your hair condition and what you will really need. So for us, bundling is really at the heart of what we are doing, in the sense that we are defining for every customer what will be the ideal routine and what will be the ideal products to like be the best combination of product for the customer.
Makes a lot of sense. And once you've gained that trust with them, you're actually saving them a lot of time by showing them exactly what they need for based off all your learnings, right?
A good example is for myself. When I do the consultation on the websites, I will only get the shampoo and the conditioner, and that's it, because I don't need a hair mask. My hair are too short to go with a leave-in conditioner. And so we are not trying to oversell by artificially bundling. We are just trying to get the customer to choose the best product for themselves.
Makes a lot of sense. Jump into the next one. Yeah, are you? How do you, both the smaller, earlier stage companies and those of you who worked at later ones, how are you guys thinking about retail in the D2C versus retail mix?
I definitely think the experiential side is very interesting, whether that be pop-ups, you know, once real life comes back, or other, you know, other experiential ways. But I think, you know, for personalized brands, there's definitely an added level of challenge. So I think whatever partner, you know, we end up working with will have to be open-minded and creative as well. You know, be that, you know, in some way retail 2.0 to allow for personalized offerings to be available in a real life setting. And I think that's, you know, that's definitely possible, just given, you know, the need for innovation in retail and, you know, their need for attracting foot traffic rather than just, you know, thinking that it's always going to be there. So.
Makes sense. Fabian, have you guys pushed into retail at all, or is it still all D2C?
We're still all D2C. I think it's exactly what Ming described around, we're personalized. And so it's not going to be a very easy kind of transfer of products. You know, I think for Glossier, for example, that would be a lot easier. You know, you have a lot of SKUs, but, you know, theoretically you can put them all on a shelf. And for us, it will require reinventing what that looks like in the store. And so that requires a partner who's excited to go that journey with us.
Makes sense. And then Melissa, did you oversee any kind of like retail kind of push or get much insight into that?
I really didn't. I mean, I think when it ties into the digital component, it's obviously a much stronger experience. Like if there's a drive to get those in real life consumers online, that's where the magic happens. I think also thinking about retail as a customer retention tool was really exciting for Glossier. We saw in the New York store people coming from all over the world to wait in line to experience the brand that they hadn't been able to experience before. So that obviously drives a sense of customer loyalty. I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to retail after all of this. It's really wild to think about. I mean, even in my current role and my new role in menswear, we have a lot of discussions about what should the future of those stores look like. Is it more experiential? Is it more of a showroom type of situation, or do we maintain it as a sales driver? I think setting the really intentional goal of each store, each physical space, is going to be more important than ever after we emerge from this.
Yeah, that's a great conversation. I mean, I've talked to multiple brands who've thought that their retail stores were just basically an advertising vehicle, and just think of it as a cost of running ads on any other platform. And if they can make the stores just break even, it's a huge win. Yeah. So I don't know if that's kind of like what you guys have heard from other brands on how they think about running their own retail stores or even selling through other retail partners.
Yeah, I think that window presence, like I'm thinking about just in my current role, that window presence serving as a billboard that you can walk into is really where I see like the future of retail for my company. I think that to expect, right, especially right now and possibly even after, as customers have gotten even more comfortable shopping online, like this entire experience has sped up the in-person to digital like revolution in a way we never could have seen coming, in 2019. So I think thinking about storefronts as branding and advertising is, I mean, that's what I would hang my hat on in the future, but never know, I guess.
Makes a lot of sense. Fabian or Gim, have you guys ever tried like retail pop-ups where you put a specialist there, maybe even a dermatologist or anyone there who's like getting someone's early quiz information and then attempting to sign them up online or anything like that?
Nothing that's been open to the public. We had dermatology providers add some events for influencers, but that's of course for a much smaller group and very specially set up then.
Okay.
And at Prose, it was something we were looking at trying and testing towards the year, but it was before the COVID-19, and we had to review our plans. So maybe 2021, but for now, it's just not the top priority.
Makes sense. Cool. Jump to the next one. Interesting. So, what do you view as the challenges coming up for you? Obviously, we're in a very unique time right now. So yeah, what do you think are the biggest challenges for the next 6 to 12 months?
I think for us, it's a lot about continuing to scale the business very rapidly in this different time period. I think we're gradually shifting from being an organization that all knew each other in person before we all went remote to, as we keep adding more people that have never met the others in person, that gradually shifts. I think the other element is, as a small startup, you always have a lot of processes that are very informal. There aren't any standard operating procedures for 99% of things, but when you're remote, for things to work flawlessly, kind of that coordination often needs to be worked out better. And so it's just the question of how much do we invest in those things, especially as we onboard new people. continue to enable that scaling versus, how much do we bet on we'll be back in the office and, everything will go back to how it was before.
Makes sense.
For Proven, we're very much early stage. So, the next 6 months, 12 months, it's the same challenges. How do we continue to grow? How do we continue to get our brand out there and get more awareness for what we're doing? So I don't think it changes. And, for us, we're still at a stage where, every day brings a different set of challenges. So it's just, continuing the course and continue to iterate.
Cool.
Yeah, again, I'm not at Glossier anymore, but if I had to guess what one of the big challenges would be for next year or in the next 12 months, it's really about content. Getting content across all channels, whether it was owned, paid, etc. for the site. It was a really natural process in person, kind of like what Fabian was saying, that they would be missing that in-person brainstorming, or just like, let me grab a quick shot of that, or let's try out this, just kind of missing that in-person flow of getting content that was really natural. I'm sure it poses a challenge, but the team is really creative, so I'm sure they're figuring it out, and the content still looks great. So
okay, cool.
The content piece is really interesting. So we recently launched 2 products, and we have an in-office photo and video studio, but we of course couldn't access that. So we had to do those 2 video shoots in somebody's apartment in San Francisco, which, if those apartments are not big. And so incredibly difficult. The behind the scenes pictures from that were truly insane.
Nice. Hopefully your audience found them fun though.
The videos turned out amazing. The creative team did an unbelievable job, but if you watch the videos, you'd never know that it was filmed in somebody's home. But just wild, the coordination that went into that, people directing remotely over Zoom and so on.
Nice. Directing remotely over Zoom. I've been seeing Zoom photo shoots, which is like the choreographer or whatever, like telling someone move like this, and then like snapping it that way. I love that. That's super fascinating. So we are now hitting the end of the hour. I'll put my information here for anyone who has any questions or thoughts. Thanks everyone for joining here. Hopefully you got to learn something. Thank you to the panelists here, Ming, Melissa, Guillaume, and Fabian. And yeah, hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thanks, Anish.